Alrighty, so another one bites the dust in terms of head coach being fired this season, as Bob Bradley joined the latest of head coaches being fired this season after TFC announced this morning that they have let go of Bob Bradley and also let go of him as the sporting director. They also let go of the assistant head coach in Mike Sorber, but yeah, I mean, this one I don't think it's a big surprise. I mean, I will say that the timing is kind of interesting because yes, while TFC did lost that last game against New England, I actually thought that they played well in that game, and that for once they actually showed some fight back in the second half, which is something that's been a problem for Bob Bradley team this season, where they always tends to play well maybe in the first 60 minutes of the game, and then they just fade away, and that was kind of not the case in the game against New England. And really, I think they are very unfortunate to not get a result, mainly because Georgie Petrovic just kind of makes save after save in that game that they play against New England. But alas, that was the final game that Bob Bradley, of course, coached against the New England Revolution. And that, I will say that, as much as it's pretty easy to blame Bob Bradley for this failure because, he was when he was taking charge of this TFC team. He was in her here as the head coach and also the sporting director, and he basically was the guy that was calling the shots in terms of building the roster and the roster that they built. While there's a lot of talented player on this team, there's definitely some flaws with the way that it just feels like it's a very thin squad. It feels like a very boom and bust kind of team where when things are going well, this team is going to go well. But when things are not going well, if they have some injury problems, which I don't think anybody are surprised that that was once again the case for this team this season. I mean, they feel like every single season they go through a period where there's a big injury list that they go through, and that because they have no depth whatsoever, especially from the guys coming out of the academy, they basically faltered. Though again, like I said, it's easy to blame him for that, but I think there was definitely bigger concern in the way that they mentioned. I think this is the 12th head coach that TFC have let go in their franchise history. And keep in mind, this franchise they came into the league back in 2007, and while that feels like a lifetime ago, I mean, if you count the years, that's only 16 years ago. And I know this was a team that in the early days they were just a hot garbage team in the Eastern Conference. They were bottom feeder pretty much every single year, and really, the only success that they started really taste was when Greg Vanny basically comes to the team and really turned their fortune around. But to this day, that's still kind of the best year, and that was kind of the year when Greg Vanny was able to get them an MLS Cup and almost winning the CONCACAF Champions League and becoming the first team to do so. But yeah, besides that, I think with just so many head coaches that have come to TFC and have failed miserably, you kind of wonder, is this really on the head coaches? Because if you go through a team where there's a high turnover in terms of coaching, maybe it's not just because of the coaching that is an issue. Maybe there's a deeper issue, and there's definitely some deep issue with this team. I think a lot of TFC fans have mentioned their president Bill Manning, a guy that he's definitely been one of the more hated men in the TFC fan base, and that a lot of them has been calling for his heads because of the way that he's been operating this team. And while he definitely did bring some success doing a couple of years ago, ever since Greg Vanny left, this team has just been completely broken. Like besides that good core that they had in the mid 2010s, this that he's not been able to replicate the success, and that's kind of what TFC fans want. They expect to have success, and knowing the fact that they have the highest wage bill and spend the most in terms of the transfer, this team should not be failing at the rate that they are currently in. So again, as much as a lot of blame could be on Bob Bradley, maybe the blame could be on Bill Manning and maybe some other names in the higher rank in the front office, and that I know right now they're definitely going to try to look for another head coach and looking for another sporting director and hope that things is gonna go well. I mean, this is where I kind of find it interesting the fact that they decided to let go of Bob Bradley. I think they was waiting, hoping that maybe the Galaxy was going to let go of Greg Vanny, and then eventually they'll just fire Bob Bradley and bring Greg Vanny back to this team because he was kind of the architect of those great TFC team. But Greg Vanny is still staying with the Galaxy, and that again, it's going to be interesting to see what direction TFC is going to be in. And again, I just think that there are just so many problems with this team that is going on, and probably the top of that list. it's just player development and also them not getting the right signing, especially in the scout department. So I think there's got to be a lot of change that has to be made to a point where I also won't be surprised that they just blow it up this offseason. Like they just realize that this current core that they're trying to feel to be a competitive team is not working whatsoever. We're just gonna blow it up. We're just gonna start from fresh, and that I think that could be the mindset too, knowing the fact that Bob Bradley is no longer there, and whoever is gonna come in is gonna start fresh and begin this rebuild. But let me know in the comments below. What do you think of this video, and what do you think of this decision? Do you think for TFC they made the right decision to fire Bob Bradley? I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will say yes, but is there a bigger issue in terms of this team besides Bradley? Because I think there is definitely a bigger issue. It's not just all on the head coaches. When when you look at the track record of the of this team, just been firing head coach and doesn't really have a lot of sustainability in that job. I mean, I think to this day, Greg Vanny still hold the longest tenure as the Toronto FC head coach. I think he's been there for like what season. He of course was let go. I think in 2020 or something like that, and then it's just nothing but chaotic again, where this team has gone through so many head coaches and still hasn't worked out to this day. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.